Beijing homes, businesses, and even hospitals across northern China are running short of natural gas. Some school children are shivering. And in the chemical industry, well, the spandex supply is getting tight. More than a decade ago, China began moving gradually to rely more on natural gas and less on coal, a dirtier form of energy. This autumn, faced with public pressure to clean smoggy skies, the government decided to pick up the pace. In some places, that shift has gone awry. The Chinese government on Tuesday shut down big chemical factories in western China for as long as 4 months to free up natural gas to heat homes and schools. And in Beijing, the city authorities have very publicly reversed a heavily promoted policy of ending municipal coal use. The city has turned a big coal-fired power plant in its southeastern suburbs back on in the chilly air. It releases a towering, grey cloud of steam and pollution visible from tall buildings across much of the city. It is the most severe shortfall of natural gas since the commitment to build up gas demand, said Daniel Yergin, the energy consultant and author, who is visiting Beijing this week. The disruptions so far appear temporary. But they show how painful and expensive it will be for China to clean up its air and wean itself from dirty burning coal. The fossil fuel helped propel the country's economy to become the world's second largest, and efforts to break its coal addiction could have global, as well as national, consequences. The Chinese government is trying to reduce air pollution by 15% this winter in much of northern China, where pollution tends to be the country's worst, particularly during colder months when coal is widely burned for heat. Through the autumn, government inspectors did not just order schools, businesses and homes to shut down coal-fired stoves and boilers and switch to natural gas. They made sure that their orders would not be defied, dismantling and removing large numbers of coal-fired devices, according to state-controlled media. Winter has arrived early, however, and it has been especially cold this year, triggering unexpectedly high demand for heating. At the same time, natural gas has been in short supply, and in some cases construction has not been completed on the pipelines needed to deliver it. The result has been a national outcry, particularly after the official newspaper People's Daily published photos last week of elementary school students having classes outdoors in sub-freezing weather because it was even colder indoors in the past. The heating problems had occurred, but this year the issue is particularly severe because the supply side has not caught up, said Lin Boqiang, an energy analyst at Xiamen University. In planning the emissions goals, the government has not really coordinated well with gas producers. China already consumes considerably more natural gas than it produces, importing the difference. The country also regulates the price at which state-controlled energy giants are allowed to sell natural gas, to encourage its domestic use as a cleaner burning substitute for coal. Keeping prices low, though, has meant that energy companies have had little incentive to produce or import more natural gas. PetroChina, the main oil and gas company in northern China, reported that its losses from natural gas climbed steeply in the first 3 quarters of this year compared to the same period in 2016. Yet there is one big exception on consumer prices for natural gas in China: the compressed natural gas burned by many taxis in big Chinese cities, and by a growing number of trucks as well. Compressed natural gas prices have surged 65% since early November, prompting government officials to warn last week against price gouging. The timing of China's revival of coal consumption this week is awkward. Officials have been promoting their country's efforts to control global warming in international talks this month in Europe. China's planet-warming greenhouse gas emissions have risen sharply over the past decade, but it has also shown much more of a willingness than the Trump administration to talk about ways to curb that growth in the future. The natural gas shortage has particularly hit the chemicals industry in China, with consequences for the wider world. BASF, the German chemicals giant, announced on Tuesday that a gas shortage had prompted it to invoke force majeure to break delivery contracts from its huge complex in Chongqing, in western China. That factory alone manufactures more than 5% of the world's supply of a chemical, known by the acronym MDI, that is used to make spandex as well as insulation for refrigerators, cars, and houses. While MDI factories outside China mainly produce the chemical for insulation, China dominates global production of garments made from spandex, the stretchy material best known in the United States under the Lycra brand name. The BASF shutdown may drive MDI prices even higher. That will make spandex garments more expensive, but should not result in them disappearing from store shelves, chemicals analysts said. And while Chinese environmentalists have led the push for using more natural gas and less coal, even they now say that the government may have moved too fast. The problem is not about what they are doing, but whether you can achieve the goal in a short period of time, said Ma Jun, the director of the Institute of Public and Environmental Affairs, a non-profit group in Beijing that monitors pollution. The officials are ill-prepared, and there has been a lack of discussion on execution.